The title of the poem is A Hymen to God the Father, composed by John Donne. There is no need to describe life and biography of John Donne because it has done in previous lecture, and we have also make a detailed video and lecture on the characteristics of the metaphysical poem and poetry and their literary element and literary work also. Now here directly I am going to the poem A Hymen to God the Father. Scholars of the work of John Donne continue the search for various elements in his poetry to add in the dating of their creation and even in the ways to refer to the poem. As Donne did not title his own poems, most titles derive from their first line. However, A Hymen to God the Father, which was published in 1633, gained its title from its subject matter. Its similarity to other hymens, such as Hymen to Christ, seems to challenge the affording of a title with its opening stanza asking forgiveness, making it appropriate as a hymen to God or Christ. That means poem is directly confess himself to God and asking for forgiveness. He admits himself that he is a sinner, he committed sins, and he surrendered himself in front of God, in front of Christ. And this way of confession make this poem a hymen. A close reading of the poem 3-6 lines stanza with a traditional meter or iambic pentameter reveals why critics have concluded that the hymen is appropriately a prayer to God the Father. This poem consists traditional meter of iambic pentameter, and the critic and the scholars concluded that this poem should be a hymen, this poem should be in category of hymen. As the speaker asked forgiveness, he refers to the theory of original sin, sin, committed first by Adam in the Garden of Eden. It links to Bible and it remembers me, us, you, and the whole human being. The first crime was committed by Adam, that was the forbidden. So, once again, as the speaker asked forgiveness, he refers to the theory of original sin. There is a theory of sin, and that theory of sin is the original sin which was committed by Adam in the Eden of Garden, which was also described in John Milton's poem, and John Milton composed an epic Paradise Lost. The Paradise Lost is totally based on that scene, and Milton becomes great after composing that epic poem. Dooming all men to repeat that commission. Wilt thou forgive that sin where I began? It's the poetry, it's the line of poem. Will thou forgive that sin where I began, which is my sin, though it were done before? In these lines, Donne makes clear that although worshippers may wish to blame Adam and Eve for the sin, they must take credit for their own sinful acts. The speaker continues, Will thou forgive those sins through which I run, and do them still? Thou still I do developer. Then repeats the verb do to emphasize again the active nature of sin. He also requires those who sing the hymen to admit their own hypocrisy as they do their sin, still even though They hate the fact that they continue. In the final line of the first stanza, he inserts a play through paradox on the word done, existing this use of the verb do. Now the poem lines is likewise, when thou has done, thou has not done. It reminds us what to do or what not to do, line by line of Shakespeare in Hamlet. So done here says, when thou has done, thou has not done, for I have more. The speaker admits to the deity, Almighty, to whom he prays, that when the deity is done forgiving him, he is not truly done, as the sinner will continue to commit his sins. Typically of done, most words consist of a single sentence, simplicity in format, producing a careful planned effect. In the second stanza, the speaker pursues the same topic. In the second stanza, the speaker pursues the same topic as done implies a repetition of an sin in hymen. He asks again, will thou forgive that sin by which I have owned others to sin and made my sin their door? Will thou forgive that sin which I did son a year or two, but wallowed in a score? This stanza emphasizes the extent of the speaker's sin more strongly than the first. Not only has the speaker sinned, he has led others to sin as well. Then implies the figurative language, figure of speech, of metaphor, using a door to present the entrance he offers others into a sinful life. The speaker also apparently repeats a previous sin, probably forgiven in the past, but returned to haunt him. Dunn's choice of the verb wallowed proves effective, making clear the abandon with which the sinner embraces his sin. The term wallow is often attached to animals such as pig, which enjoy rolling in mud and slime, sometimes composed of their own waste. Dunn clearly connects man's baser instinct to those of animals, suggesting that without God's grace, man would be no better than such irrational beasts. The speaker repeats the final two lines of the first stanza, which acts as a refrain of those singing, when thou hast done, thou hast not done, for I have more. The third stanza departs from the previous pattern of questioning, beginning with a statement, I have a sin of fear. As the speaker describes his sin, Dunn's use of metaphor proves practically effective, that when I have spun my last thread, I shall perish on the show. He adopts imagery of spinning that could add meaning to the poem on several levels. First, Dunn comments on his own activity of writing literature, as spinning was traditionally associated with storytelling, that is, spinning a yarn. Second, of interest of feminist critic, the act of spinning calls to mind the mythological figure of Penelope. As Odysseus' wife, she had to weave a funeral shroud each day and then pulled it apart at night to keep her suitors at bay as her wayward husband made his way homeward. She constantly destroyed her daily work, in the end creating nothing. As a sinner might daily commit destructive acts, finally Dunn also suggests a spider weaving a web, a structure that never lasts long but must be constantly reconstructed. If the speaker spins webs, the daily repeats the same action in a futile pursuit of happiness. This stanza has a deep meaning. It's as a physical thought. That means a man waves their own last stage, the destination, and the destination is that death. From the birth till death, what the human being gain? Think of it. Dunn's reference to the soul also suggests multiple meanings. The first is that of journeying by sea, like that mythological heroes such as Odysseus embark upon with unknown destination. Thus, the journey could be simply that represented by life, with the act of reaching the shore suggesting a conclusion to life or death. A second allusion through the shore imagery could be the river Styx, literary river of hate, one of five mythological rivers surrounding Hades. Traveler had to traverse those rivers after death. At this point, the speaker asked the one to whom he prays, "Swear by thyself that at my death thy son shall sign as he signed now and heretofore." This vow would cancel the fear felt by the speaker. Were he believer, the reference to Abraham's promise in this final stanza also allows scholars to characterize the hymen as addressed to God the Father. In addition, the speaker reference "thy son," meaning Christ, a reference that proved appropriate only if the speaker addresses God. In some older version, the word son is implied, allowing a double meaning in the suggestion of the sun shining. Without the warmth of the sun, man would perish. However, Christ as God's son was also referenced many times in the New Testament as a light revealing truth to man, allowing them to suggest the shining caused by wisdom, realization, or knowledge. The speaker concludes, "And having done that thou hast done, I fear no more." Here, Dunn reflects on the previous line, declaring that when God forgives a sinner, he is not done, as the sinner will continue to sin. However, the promise of Christ as Savior removes the speaker's fear. Without fear, he will sin no more, and God is truly done. In this way, the poem comes to an end, and we have to make a promise. We must avoid to do any sin, to commit any sin, to commit any crime. Don't be unobliged, don't be against our morality, don't do any work against the morality. In Hindi context, there is also a link of karma in this poem, and you know that there is a cycle of karma, and when the cycle recycle itself, it's also remind me WB Yeats, the symbol of gyre, turning and turning. So each and everything which you do, it will return you. In science, there is a third law of Newton. When you hit a ball against a wall, the wall hit the ball back. Thank you very much. Subscribe, share, like and comment my YouTube channel. Thank you.